Hi, my name is Ryan. If you're thinking about designing a healthy home, you're in the right place. Today I'm going to talk to you about above ground drainage and just the key design aspects you need to consider when doing it. So firstly, what sort of documentation do you need to consider? Well, the main one for building regulations is Part H, which will talk you through a few sort of examples and what you need to do. But it's relatively limited in terms of sort of practical examples. These are two guides I have used in the past and which are quite useful to have. They do refer to the British standard that you need to make sure your drainage system is compliant. But most manufacturers do have their own sort of design guide anyways. But if in doubt, give the manufacturer's technical team a ring because they will explain to you what they would recommend. First one to consider is your layout of your building. When you design a building, you want to try to keep all your wet surfaces above each other. Try not putting them in different locations or in the center of a building with an open plan just below it. I know that might seem a bit obvious, but more often than not I have seen like on the master ensuite above the main living room, which then will mean there's a huge offset in the middle of the living room, and it just causes A, problems with coordination, B, with noise, and it just doesn't really work that well. So if you put your stack, it allows you to have a vertical stack through the building, which is where the waste runs down. It makes it cheaper and it makes it so much easier to design and install. If you try and keep all your wet surfaces in either one or two locations vertically. So I mean, how does it work with stack? A stack is the vertical section of your drainage system, and then your branches are your horizontal. So you should always have a branch from your WC directly to your stack. I would never recommend anything else to connect into that unless you have another WC and putting it on a bank. I'll go through that in a minute to avoid cross flow. But generally in domestic installations you have one WC in each part, so have one WC branch into your stack. That just stops something called siphoning, because each wet appliance has a trap which stops the smells coming into the space. So then for each appliance you try and put a separate branch to each. You can combine the wash hand basin and the bath. You probably will, if you do combine it, need to have an anti-siphon device on your wash hand basin, but it is always best to have a separate branch to each outlet to the stack, because it just reduces the chances of any blockages or again the siphoning. Something to watch out for is cross flow. You can't put two WCs opposite each other. You need to make sure they come in at a different angle. This is not a huge problem in domestic installations, but it's just something you need to watch out for. The main thing is it will need a little bit more space around the stack to allow for this. Again, it might not be applicable, but I thought I'd just raise it. There's something called a stub stack. Building regulations outlines the maximum depths you can have stub stacks. This is on your ground floor only. You can't have stub stacks on the top floors. Goes direct to drain without any air admittance valves or vented stack. An air admittance valve is like it's a one-way valve, which when you flush the toilet, it allows air to come through the valve, stopping the trap from the wash hand basin to be pulled, and vice versa. When the wash hand basin empties, it doesn't pull itself or the WC. Regulations allow you only to have a certain amount of air admittance valves. One thing to make note is to check that which stack is your head of drain. If you're the head of drain, you have to make sure it is ventilated. Your civil engineer will be able to confirm that. Offsets. Building regulations actually suggest you should not actually have an offset in your system. Unfortunately, due to layouts of buildings or that have not been considered fully. More often than not, there will be at least one offset. You need to consider the regulations that you need to have a 750mm gap between the offset and your nearest branch, which could actually equate to quite a large ceiling void below. So going back to my first point, it's making sure the layout meets it. If you have a very tall building, more than 3 floors, you need to then make a ventilated pipe system as indicated on the right. Most domestic installations this won't be applicable, but it would be my recommendation to remove all offsets if possible, in line with building regulations. Waterless traps are getting more and more common. I would normally recommend to use a waterless trap on all safety devices. So for instance, your boiler safety valve goes off, it goes through the waterless trap rather than outside through the wall, mainly because of safety reasons, because obviously if someone's walking by, this water is very warm, it'd be at very high pressure, and it could cause damage or harm, and it's just not really considered a great installation. But if you are going to do this, you need to make sure it is installed in accordance with regulations. Also, use waterless traps on washhand basins that are likely to have the trap pulled. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please click subscribe. If you have any questions or would like to know more about the healthy home movement, please visit our website. Our contact details are on there. Feel free to give us a ring or an email. Remember, if you're going to build a home, please build a healthy home. Thank you.